So if you remember last time, we saw how to make what's called a bar graph in Google Sheets, okay? That's what we did last time, and I do have the procedure written out in the notes that I gave you last time. In fact, let me see if I can get to it quickly. Oh no, it's not on this set. Okay, it's in the previous set of notes. But again, I did go through how to make a bar graph using Google Sheets, okay? You know, it's really not that hard to do, actually. It's pretty simple. I mean, can you also do this stuff in Excel? I want to say yes. I honestly don't know how. I don't think it's much harder, actually. I just used Google Sheets because I figured that, you know, anyone can access that as long as you have internet access. So I just thought that'd be good. Okay. All right, let me get to the notes. So again, if I remember correctly, I think this was the one I did last time, but let me just go, actually, let me just quickly go through it again, you know, just to refresh your memory. So I'm going to share Google Sheets now. So let me just share Google Sheets real quickly. Okay, here we go, not that. Here we go. Here we go. So the data, again, from the frequency table is in. Again, this is for qualitative data, which again is the kind of data that's not quantitative, meaning you really can't do arithmetic calculations with it. So remember here we did like exam scores, okay? This is theoretical. It's not the exam that you got that is in this class. It's just scores I made up. But this is qualitative data, you know, like if you take letters like A, B, C, D, and all that stuff, okay, you really can't do arithmetic calculations with that, right? So that's why it's qualitative data. What you can do, if you remember correctly, is you can use a frequency table to make graphs with it. For instance, what you can make, for instance, a bar graph. The data's here, as you can see, okay? Then, if you remember correctly, you want to highlight the columns. Then you go to Insert, and then you go to Chart in Google Sheets. Okay. It actually came up right away. But again, normally you would have to go to Column Chart, as you can see here. And there's other options you can play around with. For instance, if you go to Customize, you go to Grid Lines and Ticks down here. Let me make this bigger. There we go. You can also click on things like, for instance, the major and minor grid lines. You can see there's also major ticks and minor ticks, as you can see. You know, things you can mess around with. Here, minor, major. So basically you can get, as you can see here, the bar graph. Remember, the height corresponds to the frequency. So for instance, as you can see here, A is 30. Let me see, can they hear me? Yes, they can. For A, for instance, there's 35. You can see on the bar graph that corresponds to a frequency of 35. That's what the bar height is supposed to indicate. Okay? So, you know, that's just stuff you can mess around with in Google Sheets. You know, good stuff. Okay? You know, again, I entered the data in the first two columns, so. All right, so let me actually now let me go back to the notes, but then I will come back to Google Sheets shortly. So let me just stop sharing this and get the notes up again. Bouncing back and forth, but that's okay. All right, come on. There we go, there we go. Okay, so next, another kind, it's really actually a bar graph, is a Pareto chart. It's a type of bar graph. The only real difference is that the categories, as you can see here, they're ordered from highest frequency to lowest frequency. So it's a bar graph where the categories are sorted by order. Okay, that's the only difference here. You can actually do that using Google Sheets, as I show you here. Basically, you want to highlight the data. You don't highlight the top rows, though, as you can see, because what you're going to do is you have to tell Google Sheets you're going to sort it by frequency. So you do highlight the two columns except the top rows here, the headers. You want the cursor, you know, that little, how do I say that, slightly darker blue square, I guess so to say. You want to make sure it's in the frequency column, which is column B. Then you're going to click Data. you're going to click sort range, okay, by column B, Z through A. Okay, and this is again this is after you made the column chart. It will change the chart for you. It will sort the bar graphs, in other words, automatically as well. You know, Google Sheets is very good at that. In fact, let me actually do that example with you. Okay, I mean, there I have the orange, blue, green, and stuff. Okay, so let me go back to Google Sheets again. Back and forth, back and forth. So let me stop sharing this again. I'm sure there's a way to share two things at once. I just honestly don't know how. But what are you going to do? All right. So let me type in that data, which is colors. And this is, again, frequency, so that's good. So we have orange. I'm typing in the data here, okay? Oh, wrong column. Green, orange, blue, green, purple, and white. Okay, where did I copy these? There we go. Okay, let me just do the frequency now. Okay, here, 40, 25, 21, 18, 17, 15. Okay, so you can actually see it did it. It sorted it. Well, it made the graph automatically, but let me just start from scratch, so to say. Okay. Notice also what's nice about Google Sheets is it saves it automatically for you. Although you do have to have Google Drive, you can get that for free. I know you could pay like I think it's a monthly fee. I mean, I pay like I think it's $3 a month. You get a lot more data, so you know a lot more space that is. So it's up to you. But again, you don't have to with this class because I understand, you know, especially this pandemic, you know, things are tight as things are so crazy as it is. But anyway, once we have this now, right? Okay. So I think I actually sorted it automatically, but when you sort it, again, you want to highlight it the way I did. Okay. So you click highlight, and you want to make sure the blue cursor here, this little square, is in the frequency column. Then you would click data, and you would have to go to sort range by column B, Z through A. I mean, you could do sort sheet, but I would just do this. And it actually was sorted already. That's what I actually typed in already, the way I typed it. Then if you go to insert, then you go to chart. Okay, not that. That's we'll do that shortly. You want to go to a column chart or a bar graph, which is this column chart. And you can see you get a Pareto chart, which again is a bar graph, but you can see it's sorted from highest frequency to lowest frequency. Okay? And it even can modify it as you work with it. For instance, let's say I typed in 55. See, you know, changes it as you go. But let me just put in the right data. There we go. Okay? So now we have a Pareto chart, and again, it's sorted from highest to lowest. In the notes, if you look on the next slide, I do the same thing with the letter grade. So I'm going to type that in now. Instead of going back and forth, I'm going to type that in here. So let me get rid of this. Okay, actually, is that in the? Well, it's also in the slides anyway. So, you know, you can always access the chart there. It's in the slides. You know, you should definitely practice making one yourself. So now I'm going to type in the data, the frequency chart on slide 5. Okay, and we're going to make a Pareto chart there. So we have A, B, C. So this is what the grades on the exam. No, not E, F, just F. Let me type in the data, 35. So I'm typing in the data. Okay. So again, we want to make that column chart. I mean, you could really sort the data before or after. You know, for instance, let's say I made it before. I made it first, the chart. Insert, chart. See, it actually came up column chart already. Let me just change, again, with those major and minor grid lines. Here we go. Just click those. We have the minor grid lines as well. The major I clicked. There we go. Okay. So again, we have, you know, the bar graph. I want to make a Pareto chart, okay? But again, we can sort the data. We can have Google Sheets sort the data for us, right? So I click, highlight, okay? And again, you want to make sure this cursor, you know, this blue rectangle is in the frequency column, okay? Like so. If it's not, this is going to happen. When you click on data, it's going to say, see, it's only going to say sort by column A. And you don't want to do that. You want to sort column B, the frequency column. Okay, so highlight, data, column B, Z through A, and we have our Pareto chart. Okay, excuse me. You know, so it's pretty easy, as you can see, sort frequency. So, okay. Yeah, it's pretty easy to do. It shouldn't be that challenging. So, okay. All right. Are there any questions on this? Okay. Let me get back to the notes. Although then I'm going to have to come back to Google Sheets, but I really have to go back to the notes though. So let me do that. There we go. So this is what we just made, that Pareto example. But now we can look at